is just too cute. He looks just like me.
Everybody keeps saying you look like Riley.
What, Riley look like me?
Speaking of Riley, her dad's girlfriend popped up at the studio the other day.
I've been saying to Block, why wouldn't you reach out to Riley? Maybe he knows the vibe from you to him.
He made it that way. I haven't seen her in years. I haven't talked to him in like 2 years, something like that.
I said, did you bring a check? Because you know he owes pretty close to $50,000. Now, which one would he rather have? A lien on his house or his driver's license taken? If I was in Candy's shoes, I would have him to do a L.
Y'all, what erupted inside Kandi Burruss's home crossed into territory this family has never survived before, and this time, there are no clean hands left. The cameras were live, the air was heavy, and then it detonated a moment so brutal, so degrading, so impossible to undo that even production went silent in shock. Because today, Mama Joyce didn't just step over a boundary, she erased it completely. Away from the spotlight, without consent, without hesitation, she targeted Ace and Blaze and quietly demanded a DNA test behind everyone's backs. And when those results arrived, they didn't just rattle the household, they blew it apart. The instant Mama Joyce unfolded that paper, something hardened in her stare, as if she'd finally uncovered the proof she'd been waiting to unleash. Then she dropped the sentence that crushed the room in half. These boys' father is not who Kandi says he is. Dead silence. Disbelief. Devastation. Fury. Kandi didn't merely react, she lost control. Her voice splintered, her body trembled, her dignity scorched as she screamed, "You destroyed my kids' lives. You destroyed me." But the deepest wound of all? Riley. The daughter who never wavered, retreated and murmured, "Mom, what if you're the one lying?" Right then, Kandi shattered. Fully. Irreversibly. The family spiraled into meltdown, sobbing, shouting, finger-pointing, and now the world is demanding answers. Is Kandi hiding something? Did Mama Joyce unmask a secret? And who are Ace and Blaze's fathers, really? This isn't reality TV. This is combat. And the damage has only begun. Brace yourself. Because what erupted in that house didn't just spark disorder, it turned blood into evidence, a mother into a suspect, and a grandmother into the most lethal truth-teller this family has ever feared. When the truth finally burst free, it didn't whisper. It didn't ease its way in. It detonated savage, exposed, and violent enough to rattle the very core of Kandi Burruss's reality. And it all began the second Mama Joyce stepped into that room, gripping those DNA results like a loaded weapon. There was no pause in her stride, no remorse in her stare, no tremble in her breath. She moved with the ruthless confidence of someone carrying information meant to destroy. The crew sensed it. The room sensed it. And Kandi felt it before a single syllable escaped Joyce's lips. The paper in Joyce's hand crackled like a countdown. Kandi's gaze tightened. The air thickened until it felt impossible to breathe. Before anyone could intervene, Mama Joyce slammed the envelope onto the table with a final, merciless thud that sliced the room into silence. The sound rang out like a judge's hammer. In an instant, a once familiar living room became a trial chamber. Kandi stood frozen on one side, rattled, unsteady, barely standing, while Mama Joyce claimed her ground like a prosecutor prepared to unveil what she insisted was the ultimate truth. Riley remained locked near the hallway, visibly shaken, caught between devotion and doubt. The knot climbing her chest was so tight even the camera caught it. Then Mama Joyce spoke, not in comfort, not in care, but with a razor-edge certainty that cut straight through the room. "I did what had to be done," she announced, her voice unwavering, each word driving the tension higher. "I ordered a DNA test for Ace and Blaze. And the answers are in." The crew froze. Even inhaling felt like a risk. That was when Kandi's body went numb. Her pulse slammed against her ribs, her eyes widened, and for a heartbeat, she forgot language altogether. Her fingers quivered, her mouth opened, but nothing came out. She didn't know what was about to hit her. Worse, she couldn't stop it. Mama Joyce's grip tightened on the paper. The room closed in. Reality blurred. Everything narrowed to that single second before impact. Then the words dropped like an explosion. "These children's father is not who you told everyone he was." Shock doesn't even touch what followed. Someone gasped from the corner. Someone muttered a curse under their breath. One cameraman lowered his lens because even he wasn't ready for this. But Kandi, she shattered on contact. Her voice splintered as she screamed, "How could you? How could you do this behind my back? How could you drag my children into something so cruel?" This wasn't outrage, it was the sound of a life collapsing in real time. But Joyce didn't blink. "You forced my hand," she snapped back. "You ignored every warning. You refused to face what was right in front of you. If Todd had doubts, why didn't you? Why did you protect everyone except the truth?" The words hit Kandi like a physical blow. Her legs buckled. She clutched the table just to stay upright, but the shame, the violation, it sank deep and tore through her. Through tears she rasped, "You disgraced me. You disgraced my family. You turned my kids into proof for your suspicions. You destroyed us." But Mama Joyce wasn't finished. "Kandi," she said, colder now, heavier, lethal, "I'm not hiding anything. You are. And that's exactly why those results matter." Riley sucked in a sharp breath. The foundation of her world, the belief that her mother never deceived her, began to splinter. She stepped forward slowly, carefully, her voice trembling. "Mom," she whispered, "if there's nothing to hide, why does this feel so wrong? Why would Todd even want to test? Why does everyone act like there's something you won't say?" That single question, that fragile sentence, cut Kandi deeper than anything Mama Joyce had thrown at her. Tears streamed down her face as she begged, "Riley, please. Don't do this. Not you. I'm your mother. You know who I am." But Riley couldn't hold her gaze anymore. The betrayal ran in both directions. Mama Joyce, watching Kandi unravel, didn't retreat, she pressed harder. "You created this disaster," she declared. "You buried yourself in lies you thought you could outrun. But the truth always finds its way back." A razor-thin silence followed, the kind that drains every last trace of hope from the room. Kandi dragged trembling hands across her face, then lifted her head toward her mother, fury and devastation colliding in her eyes. "You think you protected this family?" she said, her voice splintering under the weight of it all. "You ended it." Joyce didn't flinch, didn't say sorry, didn't hesitate. Instead, she struck one final time. "No, I revealed what was always meant to come out, and now the world will see it too." A broken sob escaped Kandi's chest. Her shoulders caved inward. She looked like someone who'd just watched the ground vanish beneath her. But the deepest wound wasn't even the allegation. It was Riley's stare. The way her eyes moved back and forth from her mother to the test, hunting for answers she never imagined she'd doubt. The camera pushed closer, catching every tear, every tremor, every crack spreading across the family. This was no longer private conflict. This was collapse in public view. A downfall. A scandal primed to detonate online, shred reputations, and poison every bond it touched. And the moment Mama Joyce suggested guilt, even without saying it outright, even an implication, the damage crossed the point of no return. Kandi stumbled toward the doorway, breath ragged, emotions unraveling. She didn't know whether to scream, sink to the floor, or disappear. Each step looked unbearable. Each breath sounded broken. Still, even in pieces, she turned back and whispered, "You never had the right. It didn't matter. What was unleashed couldn't be undone." Mama Joyce had struck the spark. Now the fire was consuming everything. And this family was heading straight into a storm the world has never witnessed. Because the questions were loose now. Who is the real father? Why did Todd demand the test? Why did Mama Joyce believe Kandi was concealing something? And why did Riley suddenly stop trusting her own mother? This wasn't gossip. This wasn't theory. This was a war breaking out in real time. Kandi stood frozen for long seconds, her body shaking as she fought to keep herself upright while the room remained trapped in the wreckage of a truth she never consented to hear. The air inside that house crushed whatever hope survived. Each breath weighed more than the last, every second stretched into agony. The life she had built with discipline, that pause screamed louder than any admission ever could. Riley clamped her hand over her mouth, tears flooding her eyes once again. The realization that both adults she trusted most might be hiding something tore straight through her. She stepped backward slowly, hands trembling, like someone trapped inside a nightmare with no exit. Kandi stared at Todd, waiting, praying for him to deny everything. He didn't. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He didn't protect her. Mama Joyce crossed her arms, her posture calm, patient, like she had been waiting for this exact moment, waiting for her daughter to finally run out of places to hide. "You see," she said quietly, her voice sharp enough to cut. "Even he won't stand up for you. Because he knows." That blow landed harder than any scream. Kandi's voice fractured. "Knows what? That you betrayed me? That you violated my trust? That you humiliated my children? That you turned my life into a spectacle?" Mama Joyce didn't blink. "Knows something has been wrong for years. Everyone felt it, except you." Todd clenched his jaw, exhaling slowly through his teeth. For the first time, he met Kandi's eyes, and there was no warmth there. No reassurance. Only exhaustion, resentment, and unresolved pain. "This wasn't about hurting you," he said low. "It was about stopping the rumors." Kandi's eyes flew wide. "Rumors? What rumors? You think people talk about me? About my children?" Todd's silence answered everything. The room shifted again, cracking under another wave of devastation. Riley stepped forward, her voice unsteady. "Mom, did you ever, even for a second, feel unsure? About anything?" She sounded like she hated herself for asking. Kandi felt the ground tilt. Her daughter, her own child, was questioning her like a stranger under interrogation. "I never doubted my children," Kandi said, her voice trembling with raw truth. "Not once. Not ever. They are mine. I raised them. I loved them. I protected them. And knowing that the people closest to me, the people I trusted, think I'm hiding something," her voice cracked. "That destroys me." But the damage was spreading faster than words could contain. Mama Joyce stepped forward slowly, her tone steady, methodical, like a prosecutor pressing forward. "If you were so certain," she said, "why does this hurt you this much?" The room locked in place again. Kandi looked stunned. Betrayal carved itself across her face like open wounds. She blinked rapidly, gasping for air, trying to understand how her own mother could be so merciless, so deliberate, so cruel. "You ruined my life," she whispered, hollow and broken. "You're destroying it yourself," Mama Joyce fired back. Lies always catch up. Something snapped inside Kandi. Her anger erupted from a place deeper than anything she had ever shown. "These aren't lies," she screamed. "These are my children. You dragged them into something they never asked for. You brought shame into a home that didn't deserve it. You treated my babies like suspects just to prove me wrong." Her voice collapsed into a sob, but she didn't stop. "And you," she jabbed a trembling finger toward Todd, "you allowed this. You let this happen." Todd finally answered, his tone unnervingly calm, and somehow that made it worse. "I needed clarity too." Riley gasped, stunned. "Dad," Kandi felt her lungs empty. "Clarity? Clarity about what?" Todd turned his head away, like the weight of the truth was too much to face directly. "You changed," he said softly. "You pulled away. You stopped confiding in me. You shut me out. And every time I asked questions about the kids, you got defensive." Kandi shook her head hard. "So you believed I was lying? About my own children? About who their father is?" Todd dragged a hand down his face. "I didn't want to believe it. But when someone keeps pushing you back, what am I supposed to think? You think I pushed you away?" Kandi snapped, her voice shaking with fury and pain. "You doubted me. You questioned me. You poisoned my mother's mind." Mama Joyce cut in instantly, sharp as glass. "He didn't put anything in my head. I noticed the signs long before he ever spoke." A new surge of agony tore through Kandi. "Signs? What signs?" "The distance," Joyce replied. "The secrecy. The things you stopped sharing. A mother knows when her daughter is hiding something." Kandi's tears fell freely now. This wasn't just hurt, it was destruction. "You don't know me," she said, her voice breaking. "You know the version of me you invented. The one that fits your suspicions. Not who I really am." The emotional pressure in the room spiked again. It felt like the floor itself was trembling. Todd spoke once more, his voice heavier, worn down. "I never wanted this to go this far." "But it did," Kandi fired back. "Because none of you trusted me enough to come to me first." Riley wiped her face, torn apart. "Mom, we just wanted the truth." Kandi looked at her daughter with a pain so deep it nearly silenced the room. "You already had it," she whispered. "You just didn't believe me." And then everything shifted. Mama Joyce reached into her purse and pulled out another envelope. The room locked in place. Kandi's heart dropped. Even Todd stiffened. "What is that?" Kandi demanded, already shaking. Mama Joyce held it steady, like a blade. "A second report," she said. "Something you need to read. Something that proves this family deserves the truth." Gasps exploded around the room. Another test. Another secret. Another disaster waiting to detonate. And the look on Kandi's face said it all. She didn't know what was inside. But she knew, whatever it was about to rip away something she wasn't ready to lose. The envelope hung in the air like a sentence being passed. And inside that house, everything stopped. Mama Joyce's stare stayed frozen, cold, unblinking, almost predatory, as she watched her daughter unravel. "This is the truth you kept running from, Kandi," she said, her words measured and merciless. "You can deny it. You can scream. You can cry. But reality doesn't bend. You've been avoiding it for too long." Todd stepped closer, his face carrying a mix of regret and quiet relief. "We tried to make you face it," he said low. "But denial screams louder than proof." Riley shifted her gaze between Kandi and the paper, her young face twisted with confusion and a pain no child should ever carry. "Mom, is this real?" Her voice cracked under the weight of disillusionment. The mother she once believed was unbreakable now stood at the center of a truth that shattered everything she thought she knew. Kandi collapsed to her knees, the envelope slipping from her grasp. The walls felt like they were closing in, crushing her. Her cries echoed, raw, unfiltered, a collision of fury and heartbreak. No, not like this. This can't be happening like this." Mama Joyce didn't retreat. She stepped closer, her voice eerily calm, almost surgical. "You chose to protect a lie," she said. "You chose pride over honesty. And now the truth is exposed. This is what happens when deception lives inside a home." The room dissolved into chaos. Kandi's sobs, Riley's fractured questions, Todd's heavy silence, and Mama Joyce's relentless certainty collided into a storm with no escape. Every sound felt amplified. Every look became an accusation. Every heartbeat echoed the tragedy unfolding in real time. Kandi's rage ignited again. She screamed, slamming her fists against the table hard enough to shake the room. How could you betray me like this? How could you turn my children, my life, my dignity into evidence? Riley's voice cut through the noise. Mom, maybe this is bigger than us. Maybe this is about what's right for Ace and Blaze. Her words were quiet, but they pierced through Kandi's fury like a blade. Todd added, his tone heavy with finality, they deserve the truth, Kandi. If not for us, then for them. Kandi's eyes moved between her daughter and her mother, and in a terrifying instant, she understood something she wasn't ready to face. She was alone. Completely alone. Standing trial in her own family, stripped bare in front of the people she trusted most. Mama Joyce pressed forward without mercy. You can't undo this. You can't rewrite what already happened. Every choice you made, every secret you protected, led right here. And now everyone sees what deception does to a family. The cameras captured everything, the shaking hands, the fractured voices, the silent sobs, the broken stares. Even the crew knew this wasn't just drama. This was the collapse of a legacy, a tragedy unraveling under a lens destined to spread across the internet. Kandi's voice came out hoarse, stripped raw. I gave them everything. I sacrificed. I loved. I protected. And still, it wasn't enough. You all think I lied. You think I betrayed you. And that destroys me. Riley stepped closer, tears streaming. Mom, I don't know who to trust anymore. The words struck like another blow. Kandi's knees buckled, her body sagging under the weight of loss, betrayal, and unbearable pain. Every ounce of control shattered. Mama Joyce didn't soften. She reached out, her hand hovering over Kandi, not to comfort, but to remind her who held the truth like a weapon. This isn't about comfort, Kandi, she said coldly. This is about reality. And reality doesn't wait for your feelings. Todd released a slow, weighted breath, like he was finally letting years of fear and resentment drain out of his chest. This was never just about DNA, he said quietly. It's about honesty, responsibility, and breaking free from the shadows we've all been trapped in. Kandi's sobs erupted into screams. She struck the couch. She slammed her fists against the floor. The room seemed to quake under the force of her pain. And Riley, fighting through her own heartbreak, reached for her mother, desperate to steady her, desperate to keep her grounded in something real. But the fracture was already too deep, the betrayal too sharp. The life Kandi once controlled with precision and power had splintered into humiliation, exposure, and relentless pain she could no longer manage. Mama Joyce finally spoke again, her tone almost soft, but the words carried lethal weight. Every lie has a consequence, Kandi. Every secret demands its moment. Ace and Blaze deserve the truth more than you deserve comfort. Silence returned. But it wasn't peace. It was pressure thick, crushing, suffocating. The air felt poisoned with heartbreak, fury, and an approaching disaster no one could stop. Kandi slowly looked around the room, taking in the shattered faces of her family, the daughter she adored, the man she once trusted, the mother she once revered, and realized the walls that once protected her had become a prison. You're all wrong, she whispered, her voice stripped bare. You think tearing me apart fixes anything? You think destroying me and my family in the name of truth makes this better? Riley hesitated. Mom, maybe it's not about destroying. Maybe it's about surviving, together. But Kandi shook her head hard. Together? After betrayal? After secrets? After lies? Her voice cracked. There is no together anymore. Only fallout. Only this. Devastation. Ace and Blaze had already been taken into another room, shielded from the explosion for their safety. But even separated, the weight of their paternity revelation hung over the house like a storm cloud that refused to move. Todd looked at Kandi, his voice low, steady, final. We can't undo what happened. But if we survive this, maybe we rebuild, not the lies, but the truth. That's all that matters now. Tears flooded Kandi's eyes again. Rage, betrayal, humiliation, heartbreak, all of it collided at once, crushing her under the weight of every accusation and doubt. Mama Joyce watched without blinking, unyielding. A predator aware her strike had landed, and that the destruction she unleashed might swallow everyone, including herself. And as the cameras kept rolling, capturing every broken sentence, every shaking breath, every tear-filled glance, one thing became undeniable. This was no longer private. This was collapse in public view. A viral unraveling. A tragedy unfolding in real time. Kandi's cries echoed through the house. Riley's shattered whispers filled the halls. Todd's silence rang like judgment. And Mama Joyce's calm, relentless certainty hovered over them all, a reminder that truth, no matter how brutal, always demands a price. The story didn't stop here. The fallout was already racing toward social media, toward headlines, toward a public that would never forget what happened behind those walls. Because the most devastating scandals aren't invented, they're lived. They're felt. And they're captured for the world to consume. And for Kandi Burruss, Ace, Blaze, Riley, and everyone in that house, the reckoning had only just begun. The room was left in ruins. Trust shattered. Hearts broken. Emotional wreckage that would never heal quietly. The world was watching. The internet was buzzing. And the wave of questions, accusations, and outrage was unstoppable. The secrets were exposed. The truth was public. And the family was permanently changed. And now the fallout can't be contained. What exploded inside that house is no longer private. It's a headline, a scandal, a story destined to haunt every corner of social media. Kandi's once polished world lies in fragments. Ace and Blaze's future hangs in uncertainty, their innocence trapped inside a storm they never chose. Riley, torn between love and truth, faces a reality no child should ever endure. This isn't family drama. This is a reckoning. A collision with the consequences of secrets, lies, and betrayal. The DNA results confirmed what whispers only suggested, and now the world is watching. Every tear, every scream, every accusation replayed endlessly across screens. Mama Joyce emerged as an undeniable force of truth, but in exposing one secret, she ignited a fire capable of consuming everyone. Kandi's pain, her humiliation, her heartbreak, raw, real, irreversible. Every choice, every omission, every confrontation led to this breaking point. And the questions won't stop. Who will Ace and Blaze call father? How will this family survive public scrutiny? Will Riley ever trust again? Every comment, every share, every debate keeps the chaos alive. This isn't a story that fades. It doesn't end quietly. It detonates across feeds, fuels outrage, feeds curiosity, and leaves no space to pretend the truth isn't devastating. So watch closely, because this saga is far from finished. The lies, the revelations, the heartbreak, it's escalating. And when the world finally pieces it together, the fallout will be unforgettable, shocking, and emotionally relentless. This isn't just gossip. It's a viral storm, and no one walks away untouched.